very foolish. Here, I'll turn down the audio monitor. I'll turn it off in the control panel. There, listen to this device. Apply. I think not. Alright, now I will do the advanced audio properties and I will monitor it right here. And now I think, yeah, that's better. Okay. Where was I? Oh, to hell with it. I need a spark. Need a spark in my life. I accidentally grabbed an extra soda. I forgot I had one. It's all good. It's me, JJ from Bright Idea Records. I've been working hard, and I thought I would take a break. How does a hard-working person take a break? By working hard at a video and not putting too much effort into it? I don't know. I don't know if I'd say that, but okay, here. Maybe if I talk into the microphone, it'll look like I'm putting forth effort. Okay. Yes, JJ from Bright Idea Records, here to talk to you. About what? About what, pray tell? Well, you know, folks, I sometimes get these harebrained schemes, if you will, okay? Like for TV shows, ideas for TV shows, okay? And naturally, I want to like do them like as perfect as possible. Because I figure if I'm going to cover something at all, I should show it the respect it deserves. The subject matter, if you will. Okay? Thing is, though, it's not like I'm Aaron Spelling. It's not like I'm... this is not a Corel script. You know... The guy at the typewriter, I think his name's Corel. This is not a Spielberg production. This is not anything except me trying to talk about what I want to talk about. So this was my big idea for a show. I was thinking how cool it would be to revisit classic computer security vulnerabilities and exploits. Specifically exploits, actually. I wanted to do a show where we would talk about some of the most... I think this windscreen's kind of fuzzy. I couldn't find Mr. Yob. Sorry. Anyways, yes, some of you may think that you know what a famous, piece of malware looks like. You're probably already thinking things like the I Love You virus, Code Red, the Robert T. Morris worm. I think his name was anyways. Yeah, those are some monumentally famous pieces of malware. It's true. I won't lie. But the thing is, I was hoping to make this show the idea, think of this as like a dry run, I guess, maybe. Or maybe just me getting tired of waiting. Yeah. I was hoping to take some of the more transformative exploits, vulnerabilities, and overall, let's face it, they're basically pop culture, the stuff I want to go over. Have you ever heard of the OWASP? It's like a organization of computer security experts and volunteers and professionals and whatnot, instructors, professors. I don't know. Look, man. For a while they released like the top 10 vulnerabilities on the internet and such for the past year. You know, they would release a top 10 list of the most compromised, the most widely scanned for. This is basically the most popular vulnerabilities, if you will. Okay, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Except I want to go even further back into history, as far back as I can remember, at least. All right. And of course, I thought it would have been really cool to, like, locate the security researcher, you know, white hat, black hat, or even gray, that uncovered, like, and maybe, like, released the first 0-day exploit, you know, or what have you. Basically, the people that were on the ground floor, you know, running, so to speak. I thought that would have been an extra magnificent, like, that's a fucking show. Am I right? Like, you spend the first, like, 25 minutes talking about the vulnerability, what it is, what its classification is, just what did it do to the world, and then meet the person that knows more about it than anyone all these years later and grill them about it. Wouldn't that be a great show? Well, you know, personally, if I was going to make that show, the first episode would be dedicated to the one, the only. It's an LFI, local file include exploit. Ladies and gentlemen, the world famous PHF bug. Give it a round of applause. Come on, you know you wanna. What's the big deal about PHF? Well, allow me to elaborate, if you will. This was around the mid-90s. A lot of people were still on dial-up, believe it or not, but a lot of people had fast connections at their work, at their school, etc. Maybe an ISDN line for telecommuting, as we called it back then. Not remoting. No, definitely not. Okay, so what happened with the PHF? Well, we'll get into that in a second. You see, the computer underground was underground for so very long. It was kind of a black art, if you will. What's a black art? It's basically an art that nobody writes books about, okay? I'm sure that sounds crazy, but I remember the first few books. One was like Secrets of a Super Hacker by the Nightmare. A lot of people criticized it, much like a lot of people criticized Billy Idol's Cyberpunk album, but they both have merit in retrospect. It's up to you to really decide. That's not what this episode's about. No, this episode's more about the transformation of a black art into a pop culture phenomenon and the birth of the script kiddie. See, pretty important exploit, right? Pretty important vulnerability. Because around that time period, there was a little Hollywood movie that I think was made in New York called Hackers. It was based on a Stephen Levy book, which is actually nonfiction. The movie was basically fiction, but they drew from reality, apparently. I guess. I'm the king of 9X. Dude, I need a handle. At any rate, so what's the big deal about the movie? The movie created a lot of wannabe hackers. If you ever went to Usenet news groups, if you're not familiar, you can look up the RFC number. I forget, but you can find it under NNTP, the Network News Transfer Protocol, port 119. It's a thing. It's like a bulletin board On, in the sky? No, on the internet. That's right. And Alt 2600 was a pretty big deal. And right around the time of the PHF vulnerability, which was published in 2600 pretty rapidly. Like it was discovered, and then it got really discovered. But anyway, so there were a lot of people posting to Alt 2600 back in those days. I was not one of them. I'm kind of too shy and a little bit too DIY to post these threads that were everywhere that consisted of how do I become a hacker? 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 Like, that's literally, there was spam upon spam for miles and miles. And the thing about this spam is it was completely legitimate. This wasn't generated by bots. This wasn't like, a marketing campaign put on by like a spammer. No, these were just a bunch of like kids that really liked the movie, liked the music, liked the lifestyle. Maybe they just liked Angelina Jolie. Maybe Johnny Lee Miller. Who knows? The fact of the matter is everybody wanted to be a hacker back then. So when PHF became well known, when it became prevalent or whatever, all these wannabes had a chance to do legitimate computer hacking. Believe it or not. Let me tell you something about PHF, okay? It stands for phone book. I forget what the F is for. Maybe it's like phone book function. I don't know. I never used it for legitimate purposes. Like, give me a break. But no, it's about as basic an LFI as it gets. Typically these days an LFI is uncovered when a variable that is input by the user is not properly sanitized, if you will. Much akin to SQL injection. A lot of times the remote code execution starts out as an LFI or a SQL injection, and it just gets leveraged. But I digress. The PHF was basically something you could put into your web browser URL address bar in your Netscape Navigator, your Apple CyberDog, your Internet Explorer. Yeah, that was a thing. Sure, why not? And basically you put in like a question mark, and I think you might have had to use some directory traversal. I think there might have been some dot slashes in there. Okay. And you could the most, of course, still to this very day, one of the first things to go for is the etc directory on a Unix system. You go for the etc password file, which is spelled passwd. And believe it or not, folks, you might find this shocking. So, I hope you're sitting down for this. Back in the 90s, back in these days, shadow passwords were like not really like omnipresent. They weren't everywhere, okay? Like, every system has a shadow password. I don't care how old it is. Like, you'd be very hard-pressed to find a system right now in the year 2023 that doesn't have, a shadow slash etc /etc/shadow file. That's where the encrypted hashes, the encrypted passwords, the hashes that are basically typically crypt, maybe MD5 crypt, I think triple des or blowfish. Like, but back in the 90s, we had Etsy password files, and the encrypted hash was of a DES, digital encryption standard nature. So basically, this was a big deal. There were many, many systems affected by this. PHF was run from the so-called CGI bin directory, if you will, okay? Back in the day, we didn't really have, like, you know, all these scripted server-side, you know, options, such as the Java JSP, the Microsoft Active Server Page ASP. We didn't have the PHP. What does that stand for again? Anyways, something pages. Yeah, look, we basically had HTML. JavaScript was starting to take off. And yeah, if you needed to run an application on your web server, you were going to be running a CGI bin. What kind of things did CGI bins do back then? Typically, things like an image map. That was one popular thing, which is basically a picture that you can click on, but there's different areas of the picture that contain different links. And these days, I believe ever since Adobe Fireworks was released, and people started to just slice up images into different table-related, you know, segments, etc., and things became much more definable over time. And these days, oh my God, there's about a million ways to do a million different things. But if you wanted a clickable image, it was probably going to be an image map. That was a popular CGI thing. Also, guest books were quite popular at the time. That was just a form where visitors to your webpage could type in a message, much like a comment, if you will. Basically, guest books on websites were the comments of their time. Also, there were instead of analytics like we have now that are ever so detailed, we used a thing called a web counter that was oftentimes a popular CGI bin executable written in the Perl scripting language, because Perl was bigger than sliced bread at the time. There were probably more people like using Perl than eating, you know, Wonder Bread back in the 90s, if you know what I mean. It was a pretty big deal. That's the reason why, like, the CPAN, you know, the Perl, that's why there's so much Perl code out there. It's basically all ancient. It used to be a really big deal until Python completely, like, took off and dominated, which didn't happen overnight, mind you, but let's face it, there's a plethora. And Ruby gems are a pretty big deal, too, but, we don't really need to go down that road. That's a different decade. Yeah, all right. So, yeah, those are some of the typical CGI bin applications of the time that oh, yeah. Also, I think, like, form mail. That's a fairly modern implementation of, like, an email gateway in the form of a form, if you will. So, yeah, we were doing that, and it usually required a CGI bin, you know, to process it and actually do the email part. Because, you know, if the server wasn't doing the email part, you were basically clicking on a mail to a href kind of link, and you were dealing with it client side, which wasn't quite as elite. Most web designers and sysadmins knew it. So, Basically, you look like a noob if you were using Mail to for a link and forcing the user to be their own email gateway. Yeah, so, okay, now that you got a little background on the whole CGI bin thing and why it even exists, yeah, the PHF, I guess it was like a directory service of some type, I guess. I mean, it's called Phonebook, for fuck's sake. It must be. Like I say, I never used it for legitimate purposes. I did, in fact, find quite a few systems that were, you know, completely crackable. Like, their passwords sucked. Like, Dez wasn't very much protection from, like, a person running John the Ripper. Yeah, that existed back then. There were actually quite a few password cracker programs that to choose from, but it's easy to say that John the Ripper dominated, and that is why it still exists to this day. I digress. Um, some people went so far as to write scripts to hunt out vulnerable web servers, but those were people that had already been hacking for a while. Those weren't script kiddies. Script kiddies were basically Google dorking, but Google didn't exist yet, so it was more like Alta Vista dorking, Lycos dorking, Yahoo dorking, etc. Okay. That's about it. Pretty big deal, right? Who discovered it? You're not going to make me go get my 2600, are you? I mean, like, look, okay, I'm pretty sure the person that wrote the article isn't the person that discovered it. I could be wrong, but I believe it was probably first talked about on Bug Track. That's where everybody revealed stuff. I think there was a full disclosure. You know what? Bug Track was the full disclosure list. End of story. So, all right, I'll go get my goddamn 2600. We got to wrap this up somehow. I got to tell you, though, that wasn't the only way to get a password. Like, a lot of the subscription sites of the time relied upon HT password files, or .ht password files, as most Apache administrators know them as. And a lot of times they didn't have the right protections, and if a savvy user or a script kiddie or a hacker even knew how to or made the effort to type in .ht password, like, let's say you go to a website and it has a subscription feature, usually the way it worked was it said blah blah blah.com/login, right? And login was like a directory, and it would load like a default index file. And but if you typed in like blah blah blah.com/login/.ht password, you'd totally get the encrypted hashes, and you could totally crack them. And sometimes there were dozens, sometimes there were hundreds, sometimes there were thousands. And if you were the type of person that went on internet relay chat with thousands of valid accounts, you were kind of godlike. All right, I'll be right back. Oh, crap. Oh, I'm getting my 2600 wet. Oh, well. Big deal. Alright, hey everybody. I kind of regret stopping the video because now I'm gonna have to edit and patch this together. I was kind of hoping I wouldn't have to put that much work into this. I've done a lot of video work in my time, and I really don't care to do anymore. It's just I like making videos, and nobody's gonna make them for me. Damn it. Alright, no, it's not that one. Might be this one. I bet it's this one. I bet it's this one. Stealth Trojans, Macintosh key, ISDM detail. No, it's not that one. Okay, it's gotta be this one. It's totally gotta be this one. I wasn't gonna sit there and look through these. Sorry, I just grabbed a handful. I had them in order. Dewey Decimals. No, I'm just kidding. Chronologically, of course. Knowledge is dead. Back chip car, Kraken, snooping, letters, unfriendly. How to steal things. Oh, this was a very controversial issue. People really didn't like it. They felt like it made black hats look like real black hats. You know? Look it up. I'm telling the truth. Okay. This one is has an article called More PHF Fun. Maybe these aren't in chronological order. When was the first PHF, I wonder? This says more. This is spring of 1997. Hackers had already been out for a few years at this point. the MGM webpage had already been hacked, actually. I don't know if that was a publicity stunt or, like, probably real. It probably was legit. Probably one of the very first web defacements ever in history. But I don't know. I'd have to really ask somebody on the ground floor, you know. I wasn't there. I went to the site like everybody else. But, yeah. I didn't, like, do the forensic analysis or anything. Okay, more PHF fun, page 19. This contribution was brought to you by a 2600 reader known as Cheesehead. By now, most of you should be familiar, at least in passing, with the PHF hole. Due to file permissions on many web servers, quite possibly, you may have even tried some of the nifty tricks possible on your local server to see if you were at risk. I don't think very many people did that back then. People didn't understand that computer security was more than just like firewalls and like virus scanners. Like, very few people understood that it was a proactive kind of thing where it's like, if you want to know if you're hackable, you have to try to hack your shit. And if you succeed, guess what? That means you're vulnerable and you're hackable. That's like the kind of proactive attitude that people have these days. But back then, people just wanted to throw you in prison. A federal prison, but still prison. Alright, where was I? How to generate credit card numbers on a calculator. I punched this program in. Granted, I had a TI-85. This one was meant for an 82. Yeah, I'm intimately familiar. No, I did not use fake credit card numbers on the internet. I used them from payphones. Thank you very much. They were there were a lot of 800 number, 900 number style. Yeah. Anyway, where was I? Payphones are completely public. Okay, doing that kind of shit from your home internet has always been universally stupid. Oh, Joey, that's universally stupid, man. um, oh, this is a Python script. God damn, in 1997, Cheesehead was contributing a Python script. Son of a bitch. That's pretty cool. That's like, I'll bet a lot of people discovered Python this way. You know what I mean? Everybody was using Perl, like I said. I mean, of course, there was still typical Unix shell scripting, which was, just as religious as a Perl monk, if you will. Oh no, I'm a sh all the way. I only use sh. Actually, let's face it. There's kind of like a standard. It's like most installable, like distributable, stuff. Runs on the most basic of basic shells, which is sh. So, and then that's to ensure that it's universally compatible. But like, if you're gonna get into higher level things, you might script things out in the C shell. Oh, the TC shell, TCSH. Oh, you might want to go even further into the Born Again, the Bash. And then of course there's things like the Corn shell, the Ash, the ZSH, a variety of things. Granted, I think probably TCSH and Bash are the two most full-featured. I could be wrong. At any rate, yeah, Python, it's pretty much become, it's not so much a dedication like a religion. No, it's more like a skateboard, if you will. It's an ends to a means. Yo, I gotta get across town, and I gotta get across town quick. And there's a traffic jam across town. I'm hopping on my skateboard. Something like that. My rollerblades? No, this is not Hackers the movie, okay? And if it was, I'd be the plague, goddammit. And I know how he ends up. But goddammit, I'm not gonna ride any rollerblades. I just can't do it, at any rate. Alright. It says, let's see if you're at risk. But I am sure that most of you were quite disgusted as you went out to try this newfound hacking trick and had a hard time finding a site to try this nifty backdoor on. By 1997, yeah, I would say so. I swear, man, I thought one of those issues had... Maybe I didn't look closely enough. I'll do a review real quick, but let's do this first. But by 97, yeah, it was pretty played out by then. But maybe with some advanced Python hackery. See, we didn't have Shodan back then, okay? So you can pretty much find anything on there if you need to. Or just Google Dork. Nah, Google Dorking sucks, man. I don't know. Let's just say you're only going to get a handful of results when you Google Dork. And more than likely, it's going to be a goddamn sausage party by the time you show up. If you know what I mean. At any rate, this little script has two goals. To give a handy tool for finding sites with the PHF backdoor, and to introduce Python. Like I was just saying, yeah. I haven't seen this in like over a decade, so Yeah, I was just saying it was a good Python introduction because it was early on in Python's career. Um, to the general hacking population, thank you, Cheesehead. Um, Python is fast becoming the network quick hack language of choice by the hacking population. The only problem is that most hackers don't realize it exists. Could you imagine? All right. The Python script I have included will hopefully show how easily a powerful network application can be programmed. The script also solves the problem of finding sites with the PHF bug. If one had the inclination, after a quick trip to rs.internic.net, that's where we all used to go to get our zone files back in the day. You know, all the domain names in a big list. It was basically home base for the domain name system. Um, rs.internic.net. The edu zone file. What was I just saying about zone files? Could be parsed quite easily into a file compatible with the script. This a lot of hackers, gray hats, if you will, not full blown black hats, but basically gray hats, used to target the edu zones. You know, because like it's all just education, right? We're all just trying to learn about computer security, and it's very difficult because computer hardware is super expensive. Like you could get a shitty system for, yeah, $1,000, but we don't want shitty systems. We want hard drives that can actually hold things. Like we want processors that can actually process things, which usually you got to connect to remotely. At any rate, you know what I mean, don't you? Like on FTP servers, there's a thing called an incoming directory, where's kids used to just like go nuts. And in terms of like password cracking, yeah, man, doing that on your desktop sucks. All right, where were we? Um, Compatible with the script. This has been left as a trivial exercise for the reader. This script should work with the Win95 versions of Python with little or no change. And then it's pretty much source code from here on out. I could go over it if you really want me to. I'd rather try to find the earlier article if I can. I must have overlooked it. Oh, wait. You know what? Maybe it's in this one? These are out of order. I can tell. But yeah, man. Fucking the... yeah. I'm a good host for this program, right? I know the material. I can remember the time period well. I can indeed. Let me see. Cable modem security holes. Oh, this was an interesting article. This has nothing to do with like uncapping your cable modem or anything like that. This is more about sniffing and how you can sniff your neighbor's traffic like you're on a hub instead of a switch, if you know what I mean. That was a problem back in the year of our Lord. Volume 14, number 2. 1997. Okay. This is a pretty good episode. A pretty good issue. But no, no, it's got to be this one. It's got to be. It must be, right? I still think it's actually the phone book or the phone booth girl with the trench coat. Let me see. Yeah, man, this ain't it. No, let me go back. I must have like read the table of contents wrong. It's got to be this one. It just has to be. Let me see. More secrets. Shrimp cards. Mac. Ask Sam. Ask about orders. Unfriendly. How to steal. Social. Really? It's not this one? I'm just gonna flip through it, man. I gotta be sure. Because I know I have the issue. I could probably look it up on the internet, but that would feel like such a poser move, right? I guess not at this point. At this point, I'm just old. I'm an old, feeble man. I can't remember my own magazines that I've read cover to cover. Oh, shit. I must be getting the old-timers disease. Hacking LED signs. Oh, yeah, you remember when that happened? This is already old. Like, fucking... Remember Aqua Teen Hunger Force? And the Enignots? Like, some traffic signs got hacked. And, like, I guess Enignots got put on them. Yeah, but they were already writing about that back in, like, fucking 1996. Wait, more PHF fun? This is the one we were just reviewing, right? God damn it. Okay. Okay. It's okay. No. Damn it. Where the fuck is it? It can't be this one. This is too old. I don't think PHF had been discovered at this point, had it? Let's see. Build DTMF. Hacking Heath. Software piracy. Cable denial. Blue boxing. Get from Hallmark. The Chrome box. Ooh, yeah, I think the Chrome box still works actually. But the Optocom system is not to be abused, just so you can get to work on time, people. I'm not going to talk about it. People's lives depend upon that Optocom system. Don't fuck with it. Even if you can. God damn it. Wait. Oh, shit. This is a pretty old one, if I recall, I think. This is before 97? I think it is. This comes to us from the year... it looks like PGP version 2 was still in use. Isn't that adorable? Bernie S. was still writing for 2600. CGI flaws. Defeating Cyber Patrol. This is the magazine I read that helped me. I'm pretty sure I relied upon this. I might have actually hacked Cyber Patrol before I read this, but I was buying this on a regular basis at the Crescent newsstand in downtown Tucson by the bus station It was right by the TV studio, so it's difficult to remember. I'm gonna attribute. I'm gonna say that this article, defeating Cyber Patrol on page 25. This was definitely written by Franz Kafka. Nice. That guy rocks. You know, I've metamorphosized in a lot of ways myself. At any rate. Metamorphosized when I should have exercised. What are you looking at? Alright, I'm going to look at the CGI flaws article because that just seems like it might have something to do with PHF. Maybe. Oh, no. No, this is pretty interesting. No, this is pretty cool. But no, not PHF related. Well, shit. Alright, fine, guys. Fine. I'll just look on the internet, alright? If you really don't have the time, I was gonna find it eventually. You know I was. God damn you, people. Nobody has time for anything these days, I tell you. You know, computer hacking doesn't happen overnight. You don't become elite overnight. It takes time. If you don't have time to kill, maybe you should find a different profession. I digress. Where were we? Ah, yes. We're gonna get down to the bottom of this. Hold on. Gotta put down the mic. Okay, let's see here. It's spring of 97. More fun with PHF. Autumn of 96. Oh, shit! I don't have that in my pile. Oh my god. Oh, there it is. Right there. You see it? Right at the bottom. Fuck. Oh, I gotta go dig that one out. Oh, man. You know what? It's too much trouble. This whole thing is basically a half-assed attempt at a production anyways. I'm done. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If I had my druthers, I'd interview Cheesehead. And, well, Franz Kafka, we'd have to save that for another episode. And, you know, whoever wrote about that back in 96, it was a pretty big deal. Alright, yeah, I'll check you later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.